Children's television in the 1970s was a trip. Before the days of countless TV channels and streaming services to browse, many American households in the 70s had access to only a few stations. For kids, the options were slim, but what they had was a kaleidoscope of media ranging from educational to experimental. Meet Sid and Marty Krofft. These brothers were superstars in the world of children's programming, and for 6 short months in 1976, their world was more than a psychedelic fantasy on TV. It was a real place only a few 100,000 guests got to visit. The duo opened a first-of-its-kind attraction in Atlanta, Georgia, but for the Kroffts, it would be their only. This is the story of the whimsical and woeful world of Sid and Marty Krofft theme park in Atlanta, Georgia. Sid and Marty, better known as Sid and Marty Krofft, were 5th-generation Greek puppeteers. The 200-year-old family tradition dated back to the 18th century in Athens, Greece. At least, that's the story they went with for decades. Yes, the Canadian brothers were of Mediterranean descent and born under the Yolis family name, but the rest was made up by a publicist to make them seem more interesting. Though, the Kroffts were plenty interesting in reality with their entertaining shows of fiction. Sid Krofft was the creative half who puppeteered. Marty was the business-minded half who pulled the strings. There wouldn't be Sid without Marty, nor Marty without Sid. Together, they were the Kroffts, brothers turned business partners.
All my life, I've been dreaming, and I have an incredible brother who gets my dreams done, Sid Krofft.
Sid got an early start performing in the city and eventually as a teenage puppeteer for the Ringling Brothers Circus in the 1940s. In the following decades, the younger Marty worked as a car salesman. When Sid got a touring gig supporting Judy Garland of the Wizard of Oz fame, the business-minded Marty joined the unusual artistry of his older brother. Behind the scenes, the two brothers didn't always agree, but their collaboration was too special to pass up.
Marty and I were oil and vinegar. We worked together in different ways, but if you shook us up, we were a great dressing.
Between Sid's creativity and Marty's entrepreneurship, the two produced their own puppet show, La Poupée de Paris. The salacious production, as well as their other live shows, toured across the US in front of millions of people throughout the 60s. Sid and Marty also produced more wholesome acts like the Kaleidoscope Puppet Show at Texas's Hemisphere 68. The Dragon and Witch production was somewhat of a precursor to their future work. More on that soon. This show in San Antonio caught the attention of the decision makers at Six Flags Over Texas, which led the Kroffts to explore an amusing industry. The Kroffts collaborated as creative consultants with the up-and-coming Six Flags theme park chain. The storytellers produced puppet shows, character costumes, and other experiences for the company's early parks. Most notably, the Kroffts reimagined the Tales of the Okefenokee Dark Ride at Six Flags Over Georgia and created the Dark Ride for Six Flags Over Mid-America. During this partnership, the Kroffts built a quote-unquote entertainment factory in North Hollywood to fabricate elements for their theme park work. This added another feather to their cap and allowed the brothers to scale up their productions. Krofft Productions Incorporated co-owned the space with Six Flags until the brothers bought it in full at the end of their theme park contract. The Krofft facility grew into a show business factory that they used for clients, creating everything and anything in the entertainment field. The show business factory was essentially the Kroffts' headquarters where dreams were made reality, and the Kroffts had a lot of dreams. Sid and Marty weren't just making puppets and attractions, they were making a name for themselves, and the world was starting to notice. Krofft Productions Incorporated was on the radar of the folks at Hanna-Barbera Productions, who were juggernauts in children's programming. The producers of The Flintstones, The Yogi Bear Show, The Jetsons, and eventually Scooby-Doo Where Are You?, just to name a few, hired the budding brothers in the late 60s to create character costumes for a new live-action show, The Banana Splits and Friends Show. It was a smash success, and the Kroffts got a glimpse of what their creations could become. This opportunity and their motivation would be Sid and Marty's launchpad for their rise to stardom as TV producers. Sid and Marty got their big break in 1969 with their own children's TV show on NBC, HR Pufnstuf. The show followed the adventures of Jimmy, a boy shipwrecked on Living Island where everything was alive. Living Island's friendly dragon of a mayor, HR Pufnstuf, helped Jimmy protect his magic flute against the show's villain, Witchy Poo. The $3 million show went a little over budget, but for good reason. HR Pufnstuf was as bizarre and entertaining as The Wizard of Oz, with characters that did not look like string marionettes, but like real cartoons. For anyone familiar with the old Kaleidoscope puppet show, this was no surprise, but the country at large was finally getting to see that signature Krofft look. In fact, the Krofft look was so good, McDonald's took clear inspiration from HR Pufnstuf for its McDonaldland marketing campaign. The courts ruled in the Kroffts' favor in a hefty copyright infringement case. HR Pufnstuf was a spectacle of 87 characters that spawned an album, a feature film, and plenty of merchandise.
What Mickey Mouse is to Disney, Pufnstuf is to us. Marty Krofft.
Needless to say, Sid and Marty's debut as TV producers was a success. HR Pufnstuf aired for only one season with 17 episodes, but that short run was a testament of what the brothers could accomplish. HR Pufnstuf was just the beginning. Kids connected with the vibrant style, and the major networks wanted more. Kroftpalooza took off in the 70s, producing an abundance of hit TV shows. Some highlights included Lidsville, Sigmund and the Sea Monsters, Land of the Lost, and Wonderbug. Behind the scenes, the rise of Sid and Marty Krofft was partially thanks to their production facility, which was built during their partnership with Six Flags. The warehouse, along with the duo's creative vision, elevated Sid and Marty Krofft as household names. Sid, Marty, and hundreds of employees used the old Six Flags show business factory plus other facilities to create costumes, puppets, props, and sets for their productions. However, they hadn't fully moved on from producing attractions too. Sid and Marty were looking to expand their entertainment empire. For their next side project, the brothers revisited a familiar industry, theme parks.
We're going into the amusement park business.
The trend of modern American theme parks was fairly new in the 1970s. Disneyland Park opened only a few decades prior, and regional parks were popping up all over the country in the 60s and 70s. These destinations were a level above the trolley parks of yesteryear. Themed attractions were more popular than ever before.
Let's face it, Disneyland is the Bible of the business.
Sid and Marty were talented entertainers, storytellers, and promoters, so the theme park industry was right up their alley. The Kroffts were almost the next best thing to Disney when it came to theme parks. They picked up commissions here and there to produce animatronic displays and other entertainments for various clients. The two kept up with some theme park work, including a puppet theater show, Circus 70, at Coney Island in Cincinnati, Ohio. However, as early as 1969, the two were planning their own attractions.
After several years of building rides and dolls for other people, we're building them for ourselves.
On the side of their newfound success producing TV shows, the brothers were busy developing a chain of children's shopping centers with amusement elements. They started in Mexico City with plans for a shopping center called El Mundo Infantil, which translates to Children's World. The Kroffts assessed other regions, such as New York, Chicago, and Los Angeles, for their chain of amusement centers and children's fairs known as the World of Sid and Marty Krofft. Their solo theme park ambitions were a work in progress. In the meantime, the Kroffts were still on track making attractions for clients. They developed a ride for Cincinnati's Coney Island, tentatively called Time Machine, which went through moments in history like prehistoric times with dinosaurs and ancient Egypt. The Kroffts spent 5 years developing a dark ride for the Fisherman's Wharf area in San Francisco. The Enchanted World opened in June 1971 and took riders on a 7-minute journey that celebrated the Golden City's past. The ride's mini cable cars rode along 850 feet of track through 14 scenes such as the Gold Rush era, the 1906 earthquake, and an uplifting ending. The ride featured 150 animated characters, and was yet another spectacular example of what the brothers and their team were capable of. Sid and Marty put together a colorful portfolio of theme park work for other companies, usually putting their own attractions on hold. However, it was finally time for people to experience the world of Sid and Marty Krofft in person. The Kroffts were serious about creating a theme park of their own. From puppeteers to TV producers to theme park pioneers, Sid and Marty were taking a ride in a growing industry. The brothers dusted off their old plans for city-based amusement centers. Sid and Marty spent much of their successful careers entertaining in cities, so they began searching for a downtown area to build their future attraction. They considered a few major markets and landed a tentative agreement in New York City with the owners of the illustrious Madison Square Garden. That deal unfortunately fell through. The Krofft brothers did not give up finding a location. Around 1973, the Kroffts reached out to an old colleague from their time at Six Flags, J. Alton Alsup. The vice president of Six Flags connected the brothers with commercial developers in Atlanta, Maurice Alpert and Tom Cousins of International City Corporation. Georgia's capital city needed some work in the early 70s. International City Corporation was developing a mega complex in hopes of reviving a section of the metropolis. The location was along the lines of what Sid and Marty were looking for. The Krofft brothers were eager to take center stage in Atlanta.
Atlanta is the best city possible to build the park. If the park won't work here, it won't work anywhere.
In the 19th century, parts of Atlanta's railroad system clustered up in a specific area. By the 20th century, the shift of car and pedestrian traffic caused the railroad tracks to increasingly become a public safety issue. The city of Atlanta in the early 1900s addressed the issue by constructing elevated bridges and pathways over the tracks. The tracks were mostly removed over the following decades, leaving behind vacant lots. This area was known as the Gulch and was in desperate need of redevelopment after the mid-century. The city itself by the early 70s was labeled as the murder capital of the US, and developers wanted to revive Atlanta's reputation. The goal was to improve undeveloped areas and add indoor amenities. This could attract business people for conventions and families from surrounding areas for leisure.
We have an attraction that will bring Atlantans back downtown. Maurice Alpert.
Developers Alpert and Cousins of International City Corporation had a solution: the Omni Mega Complex. This 5.5-acre, multi-use megastructure in the heart of downtown Atlanta would have it all. A hotel, sports arenas, restaurants, retail locations, office space, and entertainment venues.
We are witnessing today a most important step in the continued renaissance of our inner city. Atlanta Mayor Maynard Jackson.
The Krofft brothers were in talks to open an amusement center at the Omni, but not inside the complex. Originally, the Krofft World would be built on 2 floors atop a nearby parking deck. Plans changed, however, during development. On Christmas Eve 1973, the Kroffts were invited to move their park inside the Omni complex. The building's International Trade Pavilion, which would be a major tenant, moved to another address, so the Omni suddenly had a large vacancy to fill. A multi-floor space in the complex's 14-story atrium. The newly available indoor space could be an improvement for the Kroffts instead of their current spot on the parking deck. The area was spacious and climate-controlled for all-day, year-round enjoyment. Georgia's seasonal weather would not be a worry. However, building a first-of-its-kind, larger-than-planned entertainment park across multiple floors inside a mega complex would be challenging. At first, the Kroffts were not thrilled by the multi-level venue, but quickly realized the possibilities.
If we can make it work up and down, we can go anywhere with it.
The venue was settled. Sid and Marty Krofft were finally opening their own theme park, and the Omni in Atlanta would get the honor as announced in 1974. The Kroffts partnered with the Omni's developers after a year of negotiations, making the upcoming theme park a 50-50 venture. Krofft Productions Incorporated and International City Corporation joined for the project as Krofft International Corporation. The Kroffts handled the park's design, entertainment, and management, while International City Corporation brought the financing. The attraction was originally planned as a kiddie park costing around $10 million. However, being entirely kid-focused left some potential on the table. The investors anticipated the attraction could be a strong source of income for the property, with possibilities of filming Krofft TV productions on location. With that confidence, the Kroffts and their development partners agreed to upgrade the upcoming kiddie attraction as a more sophisticated family entertainment park. The whole project was partly an attempt to revitalize Atlanta, and partly a creation of fantasy grander than anything the brothers had ever dreamed up. Sid and Marty's team had their hands full engineering brand new rides, fabricating detailed character costumes, and producing a theme park stuffed with entertainment.
We wound up being the Tiffany's of entertainment parks.
This fantasy had a hard reality. It was risky. The Kroffts and developers admitted as much, but the brothers had a track record of putting on a good show. Marty Krofft predicted the park could pay for itself in as little as 2 years, while the investors believed it might take up to a decade. The risk was worth its ballooning $14 million price tag. The world of Sid and Marty Krofft, as the park would be called, was coming along. It was a culmination of a lot of dreams, as Marty Krofft put it, with a blend of original ideas and concepts from their TV shows. In the early plans, guests would enter through a curtain of leaves hung from giant mime statues, which would pull away to reveal the park. Other unused concepts included thrills like a junior roller coaster with spectacular views of Atlanta's skyline, as well as more tranquil rides themed to garden creatures like caterpillars, frogs, and butterflies. Even though some ideas never made it off paper, other exciting attractions that reached new heights were under construction, such as a record-breaking escalator, a human pinball machine ride, and an HR Pufnstuf ride. Sid and Marty were going to great lengths creating a Kroftian world, but they couldn't do it alone. Off-site, hundreds of employees at the Krofft show business factory in North Hollywood were fabricating the world, its attractions, equipment, and scenic elements. The park's engineering director, Bob Simons, headed up a team of 35 former aerospace engineers. The project designer, Steve Ehlers, had the task of decorating the brutalist downtown building with the signature Krofft look. Ehlers lost his eyesight due to an accident during development, which inspired the 1978 movie Love's Dark Ride, but the team continued his creative vision.
We have a lot of wonderful people. You could not have built this world of fantasy here in Atlanta without creativity.
The creations were shipped by way of 200 trucks from California to Atlanta, where they were installed in the Omni by fall 1975. The Krofft brothers could imagine wacky stories and characters, but the challenges of building a theme park went beyond their imaginations. Construction on the high-rise world of fantasy was hectic. The oncoming park's progress had setbacks due to design challenges earlier in development and a labor strike in Atlanta. Some stories suggest the park's employees did work here and there prepping the park. The world of Sid and Marty Krofft missed its once scheduled opening date of January and later spring of 1976. Once work resumed, finishing touches were made such as blocking off sunlight into the park's dark rides and painting the transition areas between floors for a consistently colorful experience. No detail was too small at this point as construction continued until the park's opening. Press for the world of Sid and Marty Krofft was also ramping up ahead of its debut. The theme park newcomers launched a $100 million plus joint marketing campaign with other nearby attractions, Six Flags Over Georgia and a safari park, Kingdoms 3. They promoted the park around the community with small events such as HR Pufnstuf being the Grand Marshal in a local Easter parade, ribbon cuttings, holiday productions, and a Krofft-designed mascot named Scorchy for an Atlanta Flames NHL game, which didn't go over well with hockey fans. As the world of Sid and Marty Krofft was nearly ready to make its debut, Atlanta was more than ready to experience it. The world of Sid and Marty Krofft held a dress rehearsal on Saturday, May 22, 1976. Workers and their families were invited to test out the park ahead of its grand opening. The park hosted an exclusive preview the following day, Sunday, May 23rd. The formal occasion featured a live orchestra performance and Olympian Peggy Fleming ice skating for the VIPs in attendance, such as Georgia's governor and Atlanta's mayor. Lynn Martin of the Atlanta Constitution said the new theme park transformed its high-profile guest into delighted children.
The world of Sid and Marty Krofft surely is the most fantastic thing that has ever hit any downtown in the world.
After years of development, $14 million, and a wealth of imagination, the world of Sid and Marty Krofft was all set for its grand opening.
It's the first indoor high-rise world of fantasy and family fun. The world of Sid and Marty Krofft. Day or night. The year round. In downtown Atlanta, inside Omni International. Opening May 26th. Now all the fun is indoors. Reservations recommended.
The first of its kind theme park officially opened Wednesday, May 26, 1976 at 10 a.m. inside Atlanta's Omni International Mega Complex. The Omni's 14-story atrium had retail and dining options, as well as an ice skating rink under 1.5-acre sunlight. Glimpses of the Krofft Park could be seen across its balcony-style decks stacked over the atrium, with the park's name expressively displayed along a middle level. The Omni International Hotel, which overlooked the atrium, featured a World of Sid and Marty Krofft suite. The most prominent feature in the Omni's atrium was its record-breaking free-spanning escalator. This lift was not just the world's longest free-span escalator at 205 feet, but it was also the grand entrance to the world of Sid and Marty Krofft. The escalator, manufactured by Westinghouse Electric Corporation, soared 90 feet above the Omni floor to a land we had never been to, as Sid Krofft told Creative Loafing in 2003. The 2-minute climb to the top floor was just the beginning of the Krofft experience. The world of Sid and Marty Krofft was a sequential theme park spread across 8 floors with 5 unique lands, known as environments. These themed environments were each a world within a world of fantasy, as Marty Krofft explained to the Atlanta Constitution. The multi-level park was designed to be experienced in descending order, starting on the top floor and going down, via stairs or lifts, until reaching the ground level. Once visitors stepped off the escalator, they were greeted by 2 18-foot jester statues standing at the entrance of the park's first environment, Fantasy Fair. The small upper terrace had some welcoming performers as well as conveniences like guest relations, but the fun began down a set of stairs to Fantasy Fair's main midway. Fantasy Fair was inspired by Sid Kroft's love for Renaissance fairs and live entertainment. Performers welcomed visitors to an escape from reality decorated with balloons, drapes, tents, circus wagons, and sideshow acts. Fantasy Fair made a first impression with its one-on-one entertainment such as musicians, puppeteers, mimes, jugglers, and costumed Krofft characters like H.R. Pufnstuf. Some highlights included costume characters like Alex, a sword swallower, Betty Broadbent, a tattooed dancer, Tina Tarantula, a spider lady with a human head, Baby Irene, a big pig, and Tiny Tom, the world's littlest little person. Guests could also meet a witty fortune teller cat puppet accompanied by its ventriloquist talking head. The soundtrack for Fantasy Fair was provided by the Magical Music Machine, a $250,000 instrument that made music with doodads from bottles to xylophone mallets. Fantasy Fair's emphasis on live entertainment was just a preview of the 100 performers around the park at any given time, and its nearly 600 employees. After Fantasy Fair, visitors entered the next environment, Tranquility Terrace. This woodsy area had a small amphitheater where visitors could enjoy or participate in a variety of 20 different shows, acts, live music, and impromptu performances from the Kroffts' household characters. The world of Sid and Marty Krofft experience up to this point had been all live entertainment. However, in Tranquility Terrace, visitors would find the park's first of 3 rides, the Crystal Carousel. This merry-go-round wasn't your typical carnival ride. The Crystal Carousel was a fully customized attraction with more than 50 crystalline figures of mythological creatures such as Pegasi, centaurs, and griffins. The carousel's graceful figures, made from polyester resin, looked like sculptures, so the Kroffts were justified to advertise the ride as a marvel of art, prismatic effects, and space-age technology. The Crystal Carousel, like the park's other rides, was designed by former aerospace engineers. The attraction weighed 60 tons in total, with the figures weighing about 800 pounds each. Despite its hefty weight, a ride on the Crystal Carousel gave the sensation of floating on a cushion of air thanks to a hidden system of 12 airbags inflated to 26 pounds per square inch. Tranquility Terrace also had gift shops, a forested dining area called Rooftop Rest, and a venue for private parties. Deeper into the world of Sid and Marty Krofft was its flashiest environment, Uptown. For the highlight of Uptown, visitors were shrunk down to the size of a pinball. pinball machine was one of the park's 2 dark rides, simulating the sensory experience of a pinball machine. Visitors huddled into pinball ride vehicles, gliding and clanking through 700 feet of track, which was concealed under the slotted floor. The pinball machine experience started with a 10-foot-tall robot pulling the plunger and springing the silvery ride vehicle into the life-sized arcade cabinet. The 6-foot pinball rattled through the colorful chrome playfield with bumpers, flippers, flashing lights, and authentic sound effects. After bouncing around the colorful playfield, the ball rolled into a bonus play compartment decked out with disorienting mirrors. The ride continued into the recesses of the pinball machine along its gears, circuits, and coins. Riders passed by a flashing neon sign that read "Game Over" and through a colorful tunnel of lights to end the 4-minute ride. Once out of the human pinball machine, guests could visit the Uptown Arcade and play pinball, skee-ball, and other arcade games. Uptown also had a small food court, International Food Fair, with 6 kiosks selling dishes such as pizza, crepes, tacos, and hamburgers. The world of Sid and Marty Krofft continued to the next environment, Lidsville. In this area, visitors were transported to the world from the Krofft TV show, Lidsville, about a boy who fell into a magical top hat where he was trapped in a town of talking headgear. Lidsville also served as the park's primary retail area with a small eatery and midway games. The main draw of Lidsville was a specialty of the Krofft brothers, a puppet show. The Lidsville Theater was a 1,000-seat venue that was a combination of every nightclub, World's Fair, and arena Sid and Marty have ever seen, plus all the things those shows missed, according to the park's manager, Dick Weston. Audiences gathered for 10 showings per day of a puppet musical called Celebration. The show was a spectacle of music, lights, and sets with animated puppetry like a real-life cartoon. Its all-star cast featured puppet caricatures of music legends like the Rolling Stones, David Bowie, Stevie Wonder, and Elton John. The show took odd turns, including a skit from Frankenstein's Monster, a puppet ice skating act, and a spoof of Jaws. In true 1976 fashion, Celebration ended with a patriotic finale known as the Bi-Electricentennial. Lights twinkled throughout the extravagant finale, featuring a tap-dancing eagle in an Uncle Sam getup and an energetic version of God Bless America. Once the curtains closed, the audience went backstage for a behind-the-scenes tour of the production. From Lidsville, visitors stepped into a rickety mineshaft elevator, lowering 50 feet down. It reached the bottom floor and to the final attraction at the world of Sid and Marty Krofft, Living Island Adventure. Based on the H.R. Pufnstuf TV show, Living Island Adventure was a $2 million Omnimover dark ride with a number of mechanical figures. Employees wearing minor overalls ushered visitors into one of 40 clamshell-style ride vehicles, similar to the Haunted Mansion at Disney parks. The nearly 10-minute experience told a story of H.R. Pufnstuf and his tussles against Witchy Poo. She was after Pufnstuf and his Keystone Coppers, Kling and Clang. Living Island Adventure journeyed through sets both dazzling and dark, sparkly and spooky. The ride wandered through Living Island's meadows and anthropomorphic woods, where the show's talking trees could be found. Riders stumbled upon the Heavenly Slumber Cemetery. The creepy scene showed the darker side of Living Island, with the evil trees and the mushrooms, who talked like old-timey crooks. The ride had even more frightening moments through the halls and chambers of Witchy Poo's castle, with minions like Seymour Spider, Dumbat, and Orson Vulture lurking about. Apparently, Witchy's castle had a Krofft Easter egg as 2 gargoyles that resembled Sid and Marty perched along its walls. In a scene outside Pufnstuf's cave, Witchy flew overhead on her jet-propelled broomstick, the Vroom Broom, while Kling and Clang dashed toward riders on the Rescue Racer. The adventure continued into Dr. Blinky's sneezing house. All the living items on the Wise Owl's shelves watched as he used a hand pump of Witch Begone, patent pending. Witchy Poo and her Vroom Broom crashed into a puddle, soaking in defeat while Puff proudly waved to riders. Real quick, thank you for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe for more videos like this in the future. Thanks for your support. The world of Sid and Marty Krofft opened with optimism. The high-rise world of fantasy earned positive reviews from newspaper columnists, as a local businessman went as far to call it downtown Atlanta's first ray of sunlight. Atlanta's mayor called it the city's greatest premiere since Gone with the Wind. The park even caught the attention of presumptive presidential nominee Jimmy Carter, who visited the park that summer with his family. For what it's worth, Secret Service seemed to enjoy themselves. Sid and Marty were encouraged by the positive reactions. The fulfillment of creating a theme park wonderland pushed the Kroffts to revisit their ambition of expanding to other cities. The duo was negotiating with New York's Radio City Music Hall and another Omni location in Miami, Florida, but their work in Atlanta wasn't done yet. The Kroffts indoor theme park had to be seen to be believed, but only a limited number of visitors could actually visit. The World of Sid and Marty Krofft restricted its capacity to 6,000 visitors at a time to prevent overcrowding the indoor venue. As a self-confident way to manage attendance, the park used a reservation system similar to Broadway. The park reserved 75% of its capacity for those with advanced bookings, leaving 25% for walk-up visitors. Reservations, which included guaranteed parking, could be purchased at Rich's department stores. Atlanta's newest theme park anticipated 1.3 million visitors in its first year, needing about 1 million to break even. The park reported some sold-out dates in the Atlanta Journal, but busy days were few and far between. Overall attendance for the World of Sid and Marty Krofft was lighter than expected. Public opinion about the new Krofft Park was that admission prices were too high. Ticket books were $5.75 for adults and $4.25 for children, roughly $30 today when adjusted for inflation. For comparison, the nearby Six Flags Over Georgia was slightly cheaper at $5 for adults and $3.50 for kids. That price difference mattered to families, especially with a number of kids. Not only was the World of Sid and Marty Krofft more expensive than Six Flags, but the indoor theme park had only 3 rides and used a ticket book system. That meant visitors paid in full and could experience each attraction only once. The World's multi-floor layout funneled guests to experience everything in a certain order. This format made it difficult to repeat attractions or entire areas. A trip to the World of Sid and Marty Krofft took about 3 to 5 hours. The cheaper Six Flags was a better value as an all-day park with considerably more attractions, ranging from gentle to thrilling, which allowed visitors to ride multiple times. Visitors at the World of Sid and Marty Krofft were expecting a full day of fun. Instead, they experienced 3 rides at most and a few well-produced shows. Many kids were left waiting in the Omni's concourse for their parents to pick them up after breezing through the park. The World of Sid and Marty Krofft was arguably a quality over quantity experience, but even that wasn't entirely true. As any new park, the World of Sid and Marty Krofft went through growing pains. The park's 3 rides were frequently broken down. Management handed out rain checks after the prominent HR Pufnstuf ride was closed for 2 weekends in a row during the peak summer season. In one incident, the puppeteers from the park's theater show got stuck in the elevator for Living Island Adventure. After that, management no longer allowed the puppeteers to ride the park's unreliable attractions as to not miss any shows. To make up for ride closures, the trusty puppet show ran as many as 15 exhaustive times per day. These technical difficulties were disastrous according to an executive at Omni International. Even when the rides were open, some thrill-seeking visitors were unimpressed. The pinball ride, for example, was a spectacular idea on paper that, in execution, a number of guests criticized for being slow and jolty, with ear-splitting sound effects to cover up the noisy ride system. The park adjusted its messaging to set expectations, describing their attractions as sightseeing rides in some news releases. By this point, the World of Sid and Marty Krofft clearly wasn't the perfect world of fantasy it was designed to be. Some of the park's issues could be blamed on its rushed opening, but the Kroffts still believed in their creation. The brothers felt at home in Atlanta and were motivated to do what was necessary to get the most out of their world. The World of Sid and Marty Krofft went under refurbishment 4 months after its opening. Brand new attractions oftentimes need fine-tuning to operate as intended, so the world's early refurbishment was a sign of dedication, not a last-ditch effort. The Kroffts and crew put in the work to tweak the young theme park.
You can't stop Sid and Marty Krofft. Our park will never be finished.
The refurbishment included refining the park's theming and attractions, but a lot of effort went into practical improvements. For instance, the indoor venue's other tenants, such as offices, a hotel, and restaurants, complained about the loud theme park. The attraction and crowd noise echoed in the Omni's large atrium, disturbing office employees, hotel guests, and restaurant patrons. park management consulted with 2 acoustical engineering firms to dampen the volume. The solution was to fully enclose the park's dark rides and hang nearly 300 sound-absorbing cubes around the Omni's 14-story atrium. The acoustic treatment reduced the volume by 60%, but cost a lofty $350,000. At any rate, the major investments would be worth it in the long run if attendance picked up. Without a headlining roller coaster to advertise, the Kroffts had to get creative marketing their struggling theme park. The park occasionally offered simple discounts, school field trip packages, corporate events, and free admission with a stay at the neighboring Omni International Hotel. They wanted to be on everyone's radar, from Atlanta locals to passers-by on their way to Florida. In June, the Kroffts landed a 5-year marketing partnership with Delta Airlines. The park's massive escalator was rebranded as the Flight to Fantasy by Delta Airlines, and Delta flight attendants mentioned the park when flying over the Omni. Also in June, CBS aired a half-hour primetime special promoting the world of Sid and Marty Krofft. As a note, this footage could not be used for this video. The Kroffts knew their world had potential and stopped at nothing to make it a success. That meant using the venue for productions too. In the summer, they filmed segments for the first season of the Krofft Super Show around the theme park and the Omni, similar to how the intro of Lidsville was filmed at a Six Flags park. In early September, the park made another marketing push by hosting Harlem Globetrotters games over the Omni's ice skating rink. The world of Sid and Marty Krofft also had festivities for holidays, like Halloween when fans could meet Witchy Poo from HR Pufnstuf. After months of operation and a refresh, the world of Sid and Marty Krofft was finally running smoothly. However, it still had a few issues it could not recover from. The park was distinctly Krofft, but it was also distinctly Atlanta. Some families were cautious of visiting downtown, which the Kroffts were assured would be addressed.
People were frightened to go downtown.
Atlanta was not the only problem, however. The Omni was not the best setting for a theme park. Essentially, the theme park was built across a multi-floor venue that was originally earmarked for an international trade pavilion. Shoehorning a theme park into that space with restrictive guest flow was not ideal from a design aspect. The commercial building, its tile floors, and its exposed ceilings diluted the whimsy. It was originally supposed to be a kiddie park, but inflated into a larger and pricier project by request. The theme park was at a disadvantage before it even opened. Simply put, the world of Sid and Marty Krofft was not set up for success. As a tenant of that prime location, the Krofft theme park was pressured to instantly turn a profit. The Kroffts, however, had their sights on the long term. The world of Sid and Marty Krofft was not supposed to be a quick buck.
All our careers, we've been trying to warm up the world again. That's our goal. It isn't money.
No matter the intent, the theme park struggled out of the gate. It was costly to operate and maintain. The ambitious ride systems needed a space-age engineer to keep them running, as one anonymous source told the Miami News. Additionally, the park was not generating money. Its reputation of being too expensive affected ticket sales. With a low turnout, visitors didn't have a need to spend all day in the park, which could affect food and merchandise sales. Many who did visit did not feel the need to make a second trip. The indoor family theme park was built to operate year-round, but attendance dropped when schools were back in session. By September and October of 1976, business fell as much as 50% below expectations. Considering its high expenses and low ticket sales, the theme park operated at a $1.5 million loss in under 6 months. The world of Sid and Marty Krofft was facing a serious threat of shutting down before the end of its inaugural year, despite publications advertising operating hours for 1977. The refurbishments and marketing pushes were not enough. The Krofft world was not catching on and time was running out. The park's financial lenders refused to fund it any further. The world of Sid and Marty Krofft was forced to shut down in the fall. The year-round park didn't make it to winter. A world that once had so much promise and a high-profile premiere just a few months earlier was already defunct. Its final day of operation was November 7th, 1976. In its 5 months and change of operation, the park entertained only about 300,000 visitors, much less than expected. Park employees got little to no warning about the closure. Some found out from the news. Business Week called it one of the worst real estate disasters in history, but the Kroffts thought it just needed more time to gain traction.
We didn't have the opportunity to prove the thing out. We never will know whether it would have succeeded.
Sid and Marty were working on a second park in Miami with the same developers, but that was canceled after what happened in Atlanta. Those involved and fans were disappointed in the park's sudden closure and missed potential. As one fan mentioned in the Atlanta Journal, quote, "What a horrible shame the very young of Atlanta will not have the opportunity as I have to walk through the world with wonderment and tears of joy streaming down my face," unquote. The property owners of the Omni Mega Complex weren't fully ready to write off the theme park as a source of revenue. They recognized the park's glimpses of success and thought it could thrive under a substantially different format, according to the Atlanta Journal.
We don't intend to leave that space vacant.
The Omni aspired to reopen the former Krofft theme park within a month, although the park needed significant revisions. As the park lay dormant, plans were in motion to build more rides, possibly revamp areas with a Journey to the Center of the Earth theme, reduce ticket prices to as low as 50 cents, and find new investors, as well as, the biggest change, new management. Sid and Marty were no longer involved, and the Omni planned to strip away any Krofft branding and characters. Omni executives no longer trusted Krofft Productions Incorporated to operate the park. In late 1976, the situation escalated. Omni International and its Atlanta-based developer, International City Corporation, opened a $20 million lawsuit against Krofft Productions Incorporated. Omni executives alleged the Kroffts failed to uphold their contract agreements and falsely claimed to be qualified and capable of managing the park. According to the lawsuit, the Kroffts allegedly underestimated the park's cost, which exceeded the original financial agreement. Furthermore, the Kroffts were allegedly unwilling to pay for expenses caused by poor quality, design, and workmanship around the park. In response, the Kroffts alleged Omni executives wrongly took control of the theme park venue. Reopening the theme park without the Kroffts was a violation of the agreement, so the brothers were given an opportunity to present a reopening proposal. Sid and Marty did not give up. They were in talks with 3 potential investors to revitalize their theme park. In a proposal to Omni officials, the reimagined world of Sid and Marty Krofft would have new attractions along with refreshed live entertainment. With the new attractions, the Kroffts proposed an updated pay-per-ride ticket system to lower prices. The new world of Sid and Marty Krofft would take some time to reopen, but the updates would be worth the wait.
I've got 3.5 years of my life and my company's life tied to this thing. We believed in this from day one, and we believed in the betterment of downtown Atlanta.
To persuade Omni officials, Marty insisted using the Krofft brand would be the park's best shot at success. However, Omni officials were ready to move on. The Kroffts' elaborate plan did not align with the Omni's timeline and financial goals. The Omni hoped to improve attendance by appealing to the average visitor as they sought new management. The Omni's idea for the park was to reduce expensive live entertainment and increase the park's ride lineup with a more affordable and flexible pay-per-ride system. Additions like mechanical games and regularly updated attractions could encourage repeat visitors. They were planning a phased reopening to make the best use of the space right away. The two sides disagreed. In a meeting, the Kroffts and Omni officials debated for 4 hours with little compromise. Ultimately, the Omni told the Kroffts no. With that, the Omni moved forward, reopening a portion of the park without its original creators. Omni officials believed opening sooner rather than later under a new direction was the best decision for the attraction. With each passing day the park was closed, the Omni was missing out on potential revenue. Reopening was urgent. The 1970s was a tough decade for developers. Atlanta's mega complex was facing financial constraints and a possible foreclosure. The Kroffts intended to stop the park from reopening without them, but the Omni had the right to seek new park management. Krofft Productions Incorporated was under a management contract. They did not own the theme park. The Kroffts were bothered by the decision and sued the Omni's developers for $20 million. The brothers alleged the situation damaged their reputation and restricted their commitment to other gigs. The lawsuit blocked the Omni from reopening the park, but a judge allowed it anyway. The Kroffts were out of the picture. The world of Sid and Marty Krofft was a thing of the past.
The park was the 8th wonder of the world, but we were at the wrong place, at the wrong time, with the wrong people.
On Friday, February 4th, 1977, the theme park formerly known as the World of Sid and Marty Krofft reopened as Omni Fair. As a part of the rebranded park's phased reopening, only the top floor was open for business. This was the former Fantasy Fair area of the Krofft theme park. It did not have any rides, but it did have new pinball machines. Omni Fair was set to open all its floors in summer 1977, but that was delayed until at least September. Its eventual full reopening would feature the carousel and pinball rides from the previous Krofft park. Omni Fair had plans to remodel as well, making additions such as an event space for school fairs and international exhibits, a wax museum, a craft section, and some live entertainment. Omni Fair's full debut was once again delayed another few months until December at the earliest. Unfortunately, the park never reopened entirely. Omni Fair ran into financial issues and shuttered soon after. The venue was left abandoned despite the Omni's attempts to monetize the space. Briefly, a musical theater group used the park's refurbished Krofft Puppet Theater. Other than that, the park sat mostly abandoned.
The difference between doing a park that doesn't work and a movie that doesn't work is that the movie goes away.
What was once a wonderland for kids and families was now a ghost town several years after its closure. In 1980, photographer Jerry Burns was allowed to tour the defunct theme park. Its neglected midways, decorations, and sets were mostly covered up by tarps. But Burns took home a souvenir from his theme park trip, a 300-pound clown head from the first floor's big top. After some time, the courts allowed investors to salvage the park's remaining assets. Decorations and attractions were disassembled and removed, either scrapped or sold. The World of Sid and Marty Krofft was almost entirely stripped away. Through the 80s, the Omni needed more tenants. Only about half its retail space and a third of its commercial space were occupied. More importantly, the large theme park space was still unused. It was abandoned for longer than it was occupied. Tom Cousins of the Omni was in touch with a potential lead, Ted Turner. His news network CNN was outgrowing its current location. In 1987, CNN's headquarters moved into the former multi-floor site of the defunct World of Sid and Marty Krofft. The floor that was once a human pinball amusement ride was now a studio for an international news station. CNN revitalized the Omni Mega Complex, which would be better known as the CNN Center. The main concourse was thriving with dining and retail options, which were especially popular when the sports arena next door had an event going on. For decades, the CNN Center and its studio tours became one of Metro Atlanta's signifying tourist attractions. The tour included a ride up the Kroffts' famous 205-foot escalator. Instead of two giant jester statues at the top, the escalator now led into a large globe. Those who worked at the CNN Center heard urban legends about lingering theme park remnants, such as hidden Krofft decorations in storage rooms. During a remodel around the turn of the millennium, rumors suggested workers found a mural of Old English cottages behind a wall they tore down. A model of the Krofft Park was allegedly still on site and could make an appearance in future tours. Unfortunately, it would never be seen by the public. After decades of broadcasting from the Omni, CNN moved out of the mega complex in early 2023. As of 2025, the former site of the World of Sid and Marty Krofft is vacant once again. The multi-floor venue has been left behind with an uncertain future. For now, its record-breaking escalator stands motionless as each deck collects dust instead of memories. The World of Sid and Marty Krofft is an anomaly in theme park history. The park was almost too imaginative for its own good, but it had a strong legacy despite its shortcomings. It was one of the many passion projects the Krofft brothers shared with the world. That level of impact is what earned them Lifetime Achievement Awards, a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and a special place in the hearts of countless fans. The World of Sid and Marty Krofft was a special place. Photos and footage of the park are hard to come by since it was open for an extremely short window, back when consumer-grade cameras were not as common. But there's no shortage of memories from the 300,000 lucky people who got to visit. What the World of Sid and Marty Krofft lacked in rides, it made up for in glamour. The Kroffts created something special that is remembered to this day. Sid himself has called it an honor. Just to show how popular the park still is, its old souvenirs are highly sought after and go for a premium on the secondhand market. It was a special park that had a talented roster of employees who went on to have successful careers in show business. It has a spot in Atlanta's history as a shuttered version of the park earned a cameo in Netflix's Mindhunter. Since the Kroffts were optimistic about opening other locations, who knows what could have happened if the Atlanta theme park caught on. One thing is for sure, there will only ever be one World of Sid and Marty Krofft.
If it would have worked, there'd probably be 20 of them around the country. But we gave it a great shot.